Hello, my Fly Mickey friends, and welcome to the latest edition of Tips, Tricks, and Travel News from the world of Disney. And on this week's episode, Disneyland Paris is forced to close for a second time this year. Disney calls time on the Hoop to Do musical review. And could we be seeing more ride retheming coming at Hong Kong Disneyland? Now, before we dive into the magic, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click that bell icon so you can stay in the know about all things Disney. First up, and as many of you may have seen this week, Disneyland Paris has sadly been forced into closing its doors for a second time this year due to the ongoing pandemic. In line with the latest direction from the French authorities, Disneyland Paris locked down on Friday night, leaving many travellers deeply saddened that their magical vacation had been terminated with little to no notice. But a huge amount of heartfelt messages were directed towards the cast members across the social media platforms, many of whom's jobs have once again come under threat, considering the tens of thousands of Disney employees who have already been laid off across the park's closures. In an official statement from Disneyland Paris, it said that in anticipation of celebrating the Christmas holiday season, they will be taking reservations from December 19th until January the 3rd next year, and hope to be open based on prevailing conditions and government guidance at that time. But Disneyland Paris will again close for a third time from January the 4th through till the 12th of February. They say that if you have a booking during the aforementioned closures, they have published updated commercial conditions which can be found on their website. Disneyland Paris closed off its official announcement by thanking everyone for their continued loyalty and understanding during this very difficult period. Closure periods will be determined by the ongoing pandemic statistics in France, but we can assure you that the magic will return, and Disneyland Paris team and its cast members are eagerly waiting to welcome you back as soon as possible. Over at Walt Disney World this week, we have seen major layoffs of its entertainer cast members from most of its highest profile shows. On Tuesday night, it was described by some local news outlets in Orlando as a bloodbath, as the scale of the layoffs rocked the Central Florida arts community. The deluge of pink slips showed the theme park has no foreseeable plans to remount marquee attractions such as the Festival of the Lion King or Finding Nemo the Musical, both of which have been dark since COVID-19 shut the parks back in spring. But even the cast of the venerable Hoop-de-Doo musical review dinner show, which has been running uninterrupted at the park since 1974, wasn't immune from the latest round of Disney dismissals. Performers who chatted with guests on Main Street USA, entire cast and crew members of attractions like Monsters Inc., Laughter Floor, and Beauty and the Beast live on stage, and the stunt cast from the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular have all been laid off. These latest entertainment cuts are part of the 28,000 company-wide layoffs announced by Disney back in late September. In preparation for the big celebration coming next year, work has begun on the reimagining of the Walt Disney World entrance signs with its 50th anniversary makeovers. This week, the long-awaited makeover of its classic entrance archways will be getting an all-new look for the resort's half-century birthday. This concept art has been released for the newly reimagined look, which will mark the removal of the Cinderella Castle cloud design and the tagline "Where Dreams Come True," which was added for the Year of a Million Dreams back in 2006. Work has now begun on the Western Way entrance, with construction workers up on a high reach by the main arch, replacing the red lettered logo with a crisp white letter design and iridescent rose gold flags, much like the colours we're now seeing added to the Magic Kingdom Toll Plaza and to match the new colour scheme of Cinderella's castle. Recently released state guidelines in the Orange County now allow Disneyland, Universal Studios Hollywood, and other large Californian theme parks to reopen at just 25% capacity in Tier 4 of Governor Gavin Newsom's 4-tiered blueprint for a safer economy. But that has just raised even more questions of how long will California theme parks stay at 25% capacity. The answer given was indefinitely, or at least at the moment. After California issued the long-awaited theme park reopening guidelines last week, the new rules could leave major players like Disney and Universal still unable to reopen until maybe early 2021, or perhaps not even until next summer, as 25% capacity is not something they can survive on. The Newsom administration's blueprint for a safer economy is intended to extend throughout the winter flu season, which peaks between December and February, but can last as late as May, according to the Centers for Disease Control. In the meantime, Disneyland Resort plans to install more than 23,000 coronavirus health and safety measures in preparation for an eventual reopening of the Anaheim theme park, now that California has finally at least issued some guidelines for the state's major tourist destinations to return to a full operation. Tokyo Disneyland has announced that it is expecting to keep its capacity limits into 2021 as its operator tracks towards an annual net loss for the first time in forever. Oriental Land Company, the resort's operators, warned on Thursday that it was likely to post a consolidated net loss of 51.1 billion yen. That's around £380 million for the year ending in March. Tokyo Disney Resort, which includes Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea, currently take in roughly 35,000 visitors a day, which is about 40% of pre-coronavirus levels. But the Oriental Land Company plans to steadily lift the traffic to around 50% threshold in the second half of this fiscal year, with the visitor count being maintained at that level into the next year if there is no change to the country's guidelines. Going forward, their main focus will be on introducing dynamic ticketing prices, which will be based on such factors as customer demand, and is expected to be a positive move for generating much-needed operating revenue, since the prices can be adjusted to reflect the busy times and the quiet periods. The resort will also start charging for access to the Fast Pass system, which reserves spots on rides and cuts waiting times for the park's guests. Now, while attendance in the parks may be down on an average of 86%, the good news is that the average guest spending has gone up for the visitors who have returned. Tokyo Disney reported a 14.1% increase in net sales per guest. This comes from general ticket sales to merchandise purchasing and to filling up on those yummy Disney food and beverage options available. In 2016, it was announced that Hong Kong Disneyland's version of Sleeping Beauty's castle, then a near replica of Disneyland Resort's castle in Anaheim, would be receiving a major renovation. The concept art was stunningly beautiful. But amidst the pandemic and the news surrounding Hong Kong Disneyland's two separate closures, and of course the loss of the second park option, news about the castle's major transformation has gotten somewhat lost in the shuffle. But this week, however, Twitter account HKMSG912 shared some impressive update photographs of the construction progress on the Castle of Magical Dreams. The stunning images showcase the castle's 13 new spires, one for each of the official Disney princesses, and a vibrant new colour scheme. The castle has already had its soft opening back in September, but work still continues to add those extra magical final touches for its big reveal in 2021. Now, the fact that there won't be a new Hong Kong Disneyland park means that it is unlikely the theme park, the second smallest Disney park in the world, next to Disneyland Paris's Walt Disney Studios, will have any space to add many, if any, new attractions in the future. Instead, they're floating the idea of retheming some of their existing rides, very much along the lines of what they did at Disney's California Adventure Park with the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which became the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, or maybe along the lines of the upcoming Splash Mountain retheming that will be happening at Disneyland and at Walt Disney World. But what are your thoughts on reimagining these existing rides at Hong Kong Disneyland? Let us know in the comments below. Since Shanghai Disneyland's opening date of June the 16th, 2016, they have enjoyed being the only major player in town. But Disney's largest theme park rival, Universal, was not going to let them enjoy all the Chinese theme park profits just for themselves. Despite the pandemic, Universal Beijing Resort is still on track to open in May 2021, although Universal has not yet specified the opening date, just a general time frame. They describe their latest theme park venture as featuring several all-new attractions, along with the best of Universal rides, shows and attractions from around the world, plus specially created experiences designed to reflect the Chinese cultural heritage. The initial phase of the Universal Beijing Resort will include the world-renowned theme park Universal Studios and the Universal City Walk retail, dining and entertainment complex, as well as the first ever Universal themed resort and the first Nuo-branded resort hotel of the Beijing tourist group. And finally, possibly good news for Disney Cruise Line fans, as they could soon be returning to the high seas, as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have announced on Friday that it will let the current no-sail order expire, and it will be replacing it with a conditional sailing order. The new conditional order will remain in effect until November 2021, or until the CDC director Dr. Robert Redfield decides to end it. But with Disney officials having already announced that all cruises will be cancelled through to at least December the 6th, this gives them plenty of time as a cruise line to prove to the CDC that its COVID-19 protocols are effective, in the hope that they will be allowed to sail with passengers sooner than later. The new order establishes a framework that will help the industry implement safety measures that will enable it to resume operations in US waters in a phased approach. But it does mean Disney Cruise Lines may not yet have a resailing date for any of its European itineraries, but could soon be underway to Castaway Cay for that maritime magical Disney Christmas getaway. And that's it for this week's Disney News Update. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms to keep yourself up to date on all the tips, tricks and travel deals from the world of Disney. And all that's left to say is have a wonderful, magical day.